Hi everyone, welcome back. My name is MsNoBuntu D.I.V.A.A, divinely inspired, vibrantly anointed, and I am here again to share something wonderful that happened with me today. So stay tuned. But before we go into what I am about to share, if you have been continuing to come back onto this channel and you have not yet subscribed, please consider subscribing down below. And right next to the subscribe button, please hit that notification bell so that every time that I do upload here on YouTube, you are notified and you know about it and you don't miss out on anything. Please also feel free to share with friends and family and anybody else on your pages that you think would be very interested in the content of this channel. So let me get into what I am here to share with you today, a beautiful faith and grace story that happened to me today. See you on the other side. Okay, so I have a story to tell. I am traveling right now, and today I was listening. I got in the car, I was traveling with my husband, and I got in the car, and the message that was playing, we're listening to a Christian radio station, and the message that was playing was a Joyce Meyer Ministries message on grace. And Mama Joyce was saying, I don't understand how people even leave their house and go to the restaurant and they don't ask for grace. I don't understand how people even leave their house and they don't ask for grace for where they're going. I don't even understand how people even begin to do anything and they don't even ask for grace. And I'm listening to this, So before we head out, my husband and I start praying, and we both ask for grace. On the way to the airport, there was a huge truck accident, and it had traffic on standstill for an hour. And so we were running behind an hour. We weren't supposed to be late at all. We were prepared. We left on time. We woke up, and I've been up since 5:30 this morning. We were on time. We were going to arrive on time at the airport and have plenty of time. But I asked for grace. So in the midst of we're in the standstill, I start praying and I ask my angels and I say, listen, please help whatever delay is going on over there where I can see is the bottleneck and where the holdup is happening. Go over there and help accelerate that. I'm asking for grace. I'm asking you to clear up the blockage. I'm asking you to help accelerate the blockage. Within a few minutes of saying that prayer, this blockage of cars, this bottleneck starts moving and moving and moving, and eventually it opens up. Once we got past the point where the accident had occurred, it was just moving fast. But now we were an hour behind when we were supposed to have been an hour ahead. And so my husband is driving at strange speeds on the highway, waxing, right? And I'm like, oh gosh, what to do? Do I cancel my ticket? Do I push it to the next flight? Except there's no next flight, and canceling a ticket is not an option. And you don't, it's like that moment when you actually don't know what to do, but you're just trying to do everything that you can. And we're timing the distance from where we are to the airport the whole way from that point. Eventually we get to the airport. It's literally 30 minutes before departure. And and as we're driving towards the airport, there's a point where I'm trying to call the airline. They're not picking up. I call again, they're not picking up. I call again, they're not picking up. I'm trying to change my flight to another flight. There's no options for that. I get to a point where I stop and I say, okay, I ask for grace. And I'm going to have, Lord, I'm going to have to leave it in your hands. I ask for grace, and I'm going to have to ask for grace for this moment. And I'm trusting you to release grace, because this is not our fault. We left on time. We didn't know that there was going to be a blockage on the highway. None of this is our fault, but it's kind of like we're now not fighting each other, but we will, kind of frustrated, and I was like, okay. And I start praying, and I'm like, okay, I ask for grace. I'm asking for grace. Please release grace. Please release grace. When we got to the airport, I still had to fill in a form, like a health form, to say, I haven't been in a country outside of, where I am, where there, is this pandemic, where there, or in contact with people that have this virus or whatever. And so I fill in this form in the quickest way, run to the counter of the airline, and I'm like, okay, I'm here for flight such and such. And they're like, oh, they're boarding. And I'm like, I'm going to need your grace, Lord. I'm like, and I just stood there. And it's funny because before I chose a counter to go to, the Holy Spirit said, now pick clearly who you're going to have this conversation with and expect grace from. And I looked at everybody, and I don't know, something that resonated with one specific, teller. So I went to that person, and the person's like, oh no, let me call them. Called to find out, is the gate closed? Has everyone, boarded? No. And the guy said, how many bags do you have? I said, I have this bag and this bag. Is like, look, we're not gonna have time to send it through here for you to check it in. You're gonna have to take this bag, and they're gonna check it in for you ahead. This guy literally walks with me, puts on one of those reflector jackets, walks with me to my gate. We're like literally running to the gate, walks with me to the gate. I need to go to the bathroom just before we get there because they were still boarding. So I go to the bathroom. He goes right to the front of the line, skips everybody because, he works at the airport. Goes to the front and he waits for me there. I get back and I'm looking for him, like, oh, he's right at the front. So I run to the front, skip the line literally, and he gives me my bag, he gives me my ticket, and I'm able to get in. Grace. And today, I experience the power of grace. I mean, I experience grace on a daily basis, but to be asked in the morning to ask for grace and not even leave without asking for grace, and to take God on his word, to hear him. Mama Joyce was teaching, but I knew God was speaking. And I heard him, and I asked for grace, and he gave us grace. Have you asked for grace today? I'm now sitting at the Radisson Blu in my hotel. Now, there's never been a time where I have been that late. There's never a time where anyone is able to be that late and still be let in, but by the grace of God. For me, there was a supernatural override that occurred and happened for me because I dared to take God at his word, heed what he was saying to me, hear that it's him speaking, not Miss Joyce Meyer speaking, but using Joyce Meyer as a vessel, as a channel, and hearing him and saying, okay, so you said ask for grace, I'm hearing you, and I'm going to ask for grace. So I say all of this to say, if you haven't asked for grace today, you better try it, you better do it, because you could be missing out on a supernatural override. You can be missing out on an even greater portion than you are experiencing right now, that you are gaining access to right now. You could be missing out on a supernatural access to an even larger portion because you're not asking for grace. And I just would encourage you also that you take God at his word. I heard God speak through one of his vessels, and I knew it was him speaking, and I took him at his word, and I said, okay, let's go, because that's what my faith is about. It's about hearing him and moving based on what I don't see yet, but I know that which I know, God is faithful to bring through, because he's a faithful God, he's a truthful God, and he's a trustworthy God. And he's been over and over and over. He doesn't have to prove himself to me in order for me to choose him as someone to trust anymore. And I would encourage you to do. I just wanted to share this story because it made me really, really happy to experience my faith on it, like as a basic daily thing, to experience my faith. And this is it. Faith every day word, everyday faith, and my everydays with God. and this is what they look like. Thank you again for continuing to tune in. I really appreciate you for stopping by. I'll see you again next time. Bye.